The South African tourism sector is still showing signs of resilience amid ongoing efforts to foster growth in the industry. In marking the end of Tourism Month in September, the industry says it aims to realize forecasts made by the likes of the World Travel and Tourism Council at over a 7.6% annual growth rate over the next decade. Part of this growth includes the cruise economy, and MSC Cruises MD Ross Volk speaks to us now. Thank you so much for your time, Ross. Let's talk about what is encompassed in the so-called cruise economy.
Morning. Thank you very much for the privilege of being on the show. So it's a very long sort of chain of suppliers and events, so it has a big knock-on effect within the economy. MSC has obviously been in the country for 30 years and supporting the South African economy through that process of purchasing local products, local crew, local holidays being the benefactors of the cruise industry. So it's quite a broad spectrum of support and interweb within the economy.
30 years is a healthy time as MSC's existence in the South African tourism landscape. The growth that you've seen, particularly between the times of COVID-19, where there were huge disruptions, and current day?
I think certainly COVID was one of the worst periods we've ever experienced in our life, and I think that goes for most industries within South Africa and the world. We've certainly seen a rebound, and we're very grateful for the support we received from South Africans. And that's the upshoot of that is we're bringing in a brand new vessel that can accommodate 1,000 more passengers than Orchestra last year. MSC Splendida is a newer vessel and it can accommodate 4,000 passengers. And we're really excited about the opportunity to showcase this wonderful product to South Africans.
With a distressed consumer in the South African economy, what's to be said about tailor-made solutions of affordability to allow for access and broader participation for South African consumers to have an experience of this nature?
So there's certainly obviously this underpinned economic depression that we're experiencing. There are challenges with rising fuel costs and food costs. But I think the cruise sector allows and offers a broad spectrum of opportunities for people to participate in this holiday. And people do want to still go on a holiday. They want to go and experience something that provides value for money and also gives them some kind of life experience that they haven't necessarily had. And I think the cruise industry and in particular MSC's offering is really reflective of that, because we have a cabin category for each pocket. The all-inclusive nature of cruising in terms of entertainment being included, all of your food being included. You don't have to think about all these aspects. It's all pre-packaged up front with the value. And our introduction of our inclusive drinks packages also means that we can cap the price of what you're going to experience on your holiday right from the beginning. You know what you're going to spend, and you can budget on that basis. So I think the cruising offers one of the most unique and best offerings from a value proposition for South Africans.
Having said that, I'm interested in finding out the broader impact of the cruise economy in South Africa's tourism landscape. How much of an impact is the sector then making to the overall landscape?
Well, we're going to host 125,000 passengers on board the vessel, split between about 80% Durban and 20% Cape Town. So that throughput of people coming through, they've got to travel on aircraft. They've got to go and purchase whatever they need to in the respective cities. They've got to come down through some mechanism of travel other than air. They've got to stay somewhere previously or after the cruise, and then they've got to go on board. That's got a big impact on the economy. We've obviously invested also 300 million and another 30 million this year in upgrading the Durban terminal, which has obviously all been procured 70% through South Africa. And the only thing we haven't had to procure on that basis was the steel, which couldn't be fabricated here. So, we've got a very big local kind of footprint. And in addition to that, obviously, food purchases, drinks purchases for the ship are all done within the South African landscape. So that also adds fuel to the economic condition and the wider spread of how influential we are within the South African economy.
Lastly, talk us through any challenges that may impede on growth within this industry on the local market.
I think infrastructure needs to be maintained, and something that's important for us to look at long-term development. We have to invest in our local infrastructure to grow port cities. So, for example, Mossel Bay, we need to look at something like the hinterland within Richards Bay, and something on the west coast. We need to look at infrastructure growth there. and that's important for us to have conversations around that. Then obviously also the changing weather patterns have some concerns. We've seen the big storms in the Western Cape, and we at MSC are very aware of the impact it's had on people in that environment, and we watch it with interest to hope that it recovers. But those are impactful in terms of how we go and plan itineraries and how we go and have a look at what we're going to achieve to maximize guest safety, but also guest experience on holiday destinations.
Ross Volk, MD at MSC Cruises, thank you so much for your time as we discuss the cruise economy in the broader perspective of the South African tourism space.